Good evening, you're watching the news at 8. I'm Nidhi Razdan and these are the top stories tonight. A day after the horrific Birbhum killings, the Prime Minister calls for strict action, says those who encourage such criminals must not be forgiven. Mamata Banerjee says such things happen in Gujarat and Rajasthan as well. A landmark order, the Karnataka High Court allows charges to be framed against a man for marital rape, says the institution of marriage does not confer any special privileges or licenses of unleashing a brutal beast. For the second day in a row, fuel prices are hiked. Petrol and diesel have become even more expensive. Almost a month into the war, Putin's aide says that nuclear weapons can be used in case of an existential threat to Russia. The Income Tax Department raids the offices of Hero Motors and one of India's leading industrialists, Pawan Munjal, the company's chairman. Hero denies any wrongdoing. And as the food and fuel shortage worsens in Sri Lanka, refugees are seeking shelter in India. But the big story tonight, the horrific murders of 8 people in Birbhum in West Bengal have set off a major war of words between the BJP and the Trinamool Congress. The victims were burnt alive soon after the killing of a local TMC leader. The Prime Minister spoke out on this in the evening, saying that those who encourage such criminals should not be forgiven. Earlier in the day, Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee had said that such things have happened in Gujarat and Rajasthan as well. She will be visiting the site of the killings tomorrow.
मैं पश्चिम बंगाल के बीरभूम में हुई हिंसक वारदात पर दुख व्यक्त करता हूं, अपनी संवेदना व्यक्त करता हूं। मैं आशा करता हूं कि राज्य सरकार बंगाल की महान धरती पर ऐसा जघन्य पाप करने वालों को जरूर सजा दिलवाएगी। मैं बंगाल के लोगों से भी आग्रह करूंगा कि ऐसी वारदात को अंजाम देने वालों को, ऐसे अपराधियों का हौसला बढ़ाने वालों को कभी माफ न करें।
These images of people burnt to death, even women and children, has sent shockwaves across Bengal. 8 killed in all, said to be in retaliation by a mob after the murder of a Trinamool Congress leader in a village in Birbhum district. The governor clashed with the Chief Minister, with Mamata Banerjee saying he should refrain from making sweeping statements, but the Chief Minister on the back foot, saying she will visit the site and that no one will be spared.
রামপুরহাটে একটা ঘটনা ঘটেছে, দুর্ভাগ্যজনক ঘটনা। সঙ্গে সঙ্গে আমরা ওসিকে ক্লোজ করেছি, ওসি সরিয়ে দিয়েছি, এসডিপিও কে সরিয়ে দিয়েছি। এটা বাংলা, এটাই উত্তরপ্রদেশ নয়। আমিও টিম পাঠিয়েছিলাম হাতরাসে, আমার এমপিদের ঢুকতে দেওয়া হয়নি, কিন্তু আমাদের এখানে আমরা এগুলো করি না, আমরা সবাইকে অ্যালাউ করি।
The BJP though demanding president's rule.
पूरा स्टेट का हालत बहुत गंभीर है। पिछले एक हफ्ता में 26 ब्रूटली मर्डर हुआ है बंगाल की माने डिफरेंट पार्ट में। बंगाल में तुरंत सेंट्रल को हस्तक्षेप होना चाहिए, ये हम लोग का मांग है। कानून व्यवस्था पूरा के पूरा बंगाल में खत्म हो गया।
The Calcutta High Court also took up the matter and ordered the state government to immediately install CCTV cameras at the scene of the crime. It also ordered a forensic team to visit the site and for the police to protect witnesses. With Saurabh Gupta, Anusya Mathur for NDTV.
Well, the other big story today is a landmark order by the Karnataka High Court that has said that husbands can be put on trial for marital rape. In this particular case, it has ordered for that to happen, saying that the institution of marriage does not confer any special mail privilege or license for the unleashing of a brutal beast. The court went on to say that a brutal act of sexual assault on the wife against her consent, albeit by the husband, cannot but be termed to be a rape. Well, for the second day in a row today, fuel prices were hiked. Petrol and diesel have become more expensive now, and this probably isn't going to be the last time it happens. Brent crude prices were also up by over 3%.
The opposition protesting against the steep fuel hikes. For the second day, petrol and diesel prices were hiked by 80 paise, the steepest in over 2 years. Among the metros, petrol is the costliest in Mumbai at almost 112 rupees a litre and diesel at 95.85 rupees a litre.
आम जनता परेशान है, आए दिन पेट्रोल के पैसे बढ़ना, डीजल के पैसे बढ़ना, जो आम जनमानस की चीजें हैं वो दिन पे दिन बढ़ती जाएंगी। गैस सिलेंडर देख लीजिए।
सरकार ये भी कहती है कि हमारा नियंत्रण नहीं है इसके ऊपर, लेकिन नियंत्रण नहीं है तो इलेक्शन के वक्त तक ये क्यों बंद था?
आम आदमी की हालत तो ऐसी कर दी है कि उसके घर में राशन चलाना उसका मुश्किल हो गया है। मिडिल क्लास को के लिए तो ये काम ही नहीं कर रही है ये सरकार।
अभी ये तो क्या, ये पहले भी बढ़ते आए और अभी भी बढ़ते ही जा रहे हैं और आगे भी बढ़ते रहेंगे। जैसे कि अभी इकोनॉमिकली हम लोग तो वीक ही होते जा रहे हैं।
The ruling BJP's defense that it's a global crisis and the hike is lower than several Western nations.
80% से ज़्यादा ऑयल जो है वो हमें बाहर से लेना पड़ता है और उसका इम्पैक्ट आज युद्ध की वजह से, यूक्रेन युद्ध की वजह से आज जहां पूरी दुनिया प्रभावित हुई है, अब 20% से ज़्यादा यूके में बढ़ा है, 20% से ज़्यादा यूएस ने बढ़ा, इसी दौरान बढ़ गया है, जर्मनी का बढ़ा है और भी जितने भी देश हैं सब प्रभावित हुए हैं। यहाँ पर 1% से भी कम जो है वो इसका प्रभाव अभी पड़ने दिया गया है।
रोजमर्रा की चीजें हैं उपयोग की, जैसे दूध है, अन्य चीजें हैं, ये सब बढ़ गई, एक दिन में कीमत बढ़ गई सब। आम आदमी को ज़्यादा दिक्कत न हो, दिक्कत तो बहुत ज़्यादा हो ही रही है, लेकिन दिक्कत को कम करने के लिए ये गवर्नमेंट का दायित्व है कि उस पर सोचे, विचार करे, पुनर्विचार करे और रोल बैक करे।
Today's hike has also put the focus back on the high taxes by the centre especially, but also the states. This is around 45 to over 50%, depending on the state you're in.
By increasing the price of petrol and diesel twice in last 2 days, the oil companies have given a clear indication that they are planning to revive the daily price revision mechanism under which the prices of petrol and diesel in India are revised almost daily in accordance with the trends in the international oil market. If the Ukraine crisis deepens and the price of crude oil becomes more expensive in international market, it would have direct impact on the price of petrol and diesel in India. In Delhi with Shashikant Jha, this is Himanshu Shekhar for NDTV.
Right, well, moving on to the latest developments on Russia's invasion of Ukraine. It's been nearly a month since this war began, and today a key aide of Vladimir Putin has said that nuclear weapons can be used in case of what he called an existential threat to Russia. Meanwhile, Ukraine's President Zelensky has said that there is nothing left of the port city of Mariupol after relentless bombing by the Russian military. He's also said that peace talks with Russia are tough, confrontational, but has said that we are moving forward. Meanwhile, the US President Joe Biden is in Europe to rally allies against Russia, with NATO though clearly determined not to actually join the war. Released by Russian authorities claims to have hit several Ukrainian military targets in the last 24 hours, about 90 plus targets in fact. Russia shared footage of these military helicopters. And a Ukrainian military video claims to have precisely used Javelin missile bombing techniques to bomb Russian tanks. US-made Javelin anti-tank missiles are in the spotlight. These weapons are giving the numerically inferior Ukrainian army a chance to wreak havoc on their attackers. The lightweight but lethal weapons have allowed soldiers in Ukraine to inflict some serious damage to Russian tanks and their artillery. And another Ukrainian military post shows a video of a tractor taking away a destroyed Russian tank. Through the war, Ukrainian tractors have been seen pulling Russian tanks, and this in fact has now become a meme as well. this, Ukrainian military video claims to show a Russian naval patrol boat being bombed, apparently near the port city of Mariupol.
There's nothing left of the port city of Mariupol, an entire city wiped out by Russian bombing. This was the Ukrainian president's stark reminder of the plight of lakhs of Ukrainians whose cities and homes are being relentlessly bombarded by Russian forces for 28 days now.
Станом на цей день у місті перебувають близько 100 тисяч людей у нелюдських умовах, в повній блокаді, без їжі, без води, без ліків, під постійними обстрілами, під постійним бомбардуванням. Вже не перший тиждень ми намагаємося організувати стабільні гуманітарні коридори для маріупольців. І майже всі наші спроби, на жаль, зриваються російськими окупантами, обстрілами або свідомим терором.
But even as the Ukrainians fight back, Russia claims to have hit 97 military targets in the last 24 hours, like missile launchers and anti-aircraft guns. Global concerns over the escalating situation, Russia refuses to rule out using nuclear weapons, a Kremlin spokesperson saying, "We have a concept of domestic security and it's public. If an existential threat for our country, then nuclear weapons can be used." United States President Joe Biden heads to Europe as the West plans new sanctions to try and pressurize Russia to end the war. Biden will meet NATO allies, G7 leaders and European Union leaders.
Die NATO wird nicht Kriegspartei, da sind wir uns mit unseren europäischen Verbündeten und den Vereinigten Staaten einig.
Meanwhile, India's Foreign Secretary arrives in New York ahead of the crucial UN General Assembly vote on the draft resolution on the humanitarian crisis in Ukraine. Sana Marwaha for NDTV.
China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi is reportedly coming to Delhi in the next couple of days. It would be the first visit by a senior Chinese minister since the border standoff in Ladakh that began nearly 2 years ago. However, the visit has not been officially confirmed from either side, which is rather unusual. Ties between New Delhi and Beijing have been cold since the spring of 2020, when the incursions by PLA soldiers at various points in Ladakh also led to an unprecedented confrontation in the Galwan Valley. 20 Indian soldiers were killed there and several Chinese soldiers as well. The militaries of both countries have held several rounds of talks, but with little success so far. Wang Yi and Foreign Minister Jaishankar have met twice after the Galwan incident, first in September 2020 in Moscow and then in Dushanbe a year later. But as I said, this would be the first high-level meeting by a Chinese official in 2 years to Delhi. Income tax raids were carried out today at the offices of Hero Motors as well as the home of its chairman Pavan Munjal, one of India's best-known industrialists. Tax authorities claim this is on suspicion of tax evasion, but Hero Motors has denied any wrongdoing.
Over 100 tax investigators fanned out at offices and premises of Hero Motors, India's leading two-wheeler company. The searches happened across 3 states, Delhi, Haryana and Punjab. The premises included the homes and offices of Pavan Munjal, chairman and CEO of Hero and one of India's most recognized corporate leaders. Tax authorities say the raids are based on the suspicion of tax evasion. Companies' books of accounts and sale register and so on were examined by tax officials. But in a statement, Hero Motors denied any wrongdoing. It said, "The tax department visited 2 of our offices in Delhi and Gurugram and the residence of our chairman and CEO, Dr. Pavan Munjal. It said they've been informed this is a routine inquiry, not uncommon before the end of the financial year, and that they reassure all our stakeholders that it continues to be business as usual. We at Hero MotoCorp are an ethical and law-abiding corporate."
Raids at Hero Motors, which started at 7 in the morning on Wednesday, continued the whole day, and sources in the tax department say that the officials will visit Hero Motors once again on Thursday, and after the completion of the search operation, a detailed statement will be made public. With camera person Pooja Arya, this is Arvind Gunasekar for NDTV.
The Sri Lankan economic crisis is now spilling over into Indian shores as refugees seeking to escape unemployment, shortages of fuel and essentials back home are desperately trying to come to India, even risking the lives of their young children. The Sri Lankan president has sought the International Monetary Fund's help to help tide over its worst ever foreign exchange crisis.
3 children, including an infant, were among 6 Sri Lankans found by the Indian Coast Guard on an island off Rameshwaram in Tamil Nadu. They are among the first refugees from Sri Lanka who arrive on Tuesday as an unprecedented economic crisis in the island nation begins to spill over to India. This family of 10, including 5 children, spent 37 hours at sea as the engine of their boat malfunctioned.
எங்களோட சொந்த ஊருக்கு கஷ்டம் நிலைமையால நாங்க இங்க வந்துட்டோம். சரியான கஷ்டம் எங்க ஊர்ல இருக்கு போல கேளாது. அதனால நாங்க உயிரை கடல்ல உயிர் போனா போகட்டும். இல்ல மீண்டு வரனா நம்ம இந்தியா நாட்டோட போகட்டும் சொல்லிதான் நாங்க புறப்பட்டு வந்துட்டோம்.
எங்க ஊர்ல சாப்பாடு பிரச்சனை, தண்ணி இது அரிசி பிரச்சனை, மண்ணெண்ணெய் பிரச்சனை, பெட்ரோல் பிரச்சனை ஒன்றும் இல்லை. சாப்பாடு சரியான கஷ்டம். அதனால நாங்கள் இங்கே வந்துட்டோம்.
சொல்லிடுங்க எத்தனை பேர் இருக்காங்க, வர மாதிரி இருக்காங்க?
எத்தனை பேர்னு எனக்கு தெரியாது, ஆனால் நிறைய குடும்பம் வர்றதுக்கு இருக்கு. வருவாங்க.
மன்னார்லேருந்து தான் வருவாங்க.
நீங்கள் சொந்த போட்டு சொந்த போட்டு
எவ்வளோ செலவாச்சு நீங்கள் வர்றது?
நான் செலவாக என்ன எல்லாம் எந்த சொந்த பொருள் தானே. செலவு சாப்பாடு செலவு மரண செலவு மட்டும்தான். என்ன ஒரு 15,000 ரூபாய்.
In the 80s, it was a civil war that brought 1 lakh refugees from northern Sri Lanka to India. Now it is unemployment, starvation and hunger brought on by an economic crisis that is threatening to bring about another exodus. Refugees say many more families are waiting for a chance to leave and come to India. The army has been stationed at petrol outlets in Sri Lanka as queues everywhere for fuel turned violent at some places. 3 people reportedly died while waiting in queue. Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has sought the help of the International Monetary Fund to help tide over a debt crisis that has pushed inflation to over 17%, sending prices of fuel and food skyrocketing. The Sri Lankan rupee fell to 280 from 200 against the US dollar in just a few days. For a nation that was hugely dependent on tourism, first the 2019 serial bomb blast and then the COVID pandemic hit earnings. Foreign remittances too dried up as jobs were lost. Add to that huge debts from external borrowings and alleged financial mismanagement.
We have a $1 billion international sovereign bond repayment coming due in July. We are already at very low reserves, perhaps usable reserves of 3 to 4 weeks. In fact, one of the big turning points was when there was a dramatic change in tax policy and tax structure following the presidential elections in December 2019, which not only reduced the rate of tax and tax collection, which was already low in Sri Lanka, but it also affected the timing of those cash flows.
India has come to Sri Lanka's rescue by extending $500 million as line of credit last month to buy fuel and giving another $1 billion line of credit to buy food and medicines. Uma Sudhir, NDTV.
Well, joining us now on NDTV is Dr. Kelia Rambukwala, the Sri Lankan Health Minister, straight from Colombo. Thank you very much for joining us. Dr. Rambukwala, just to first ask you, how grave is the situation now with the army now being called at petrol stations because, there's violence breaking out with people standing in line, etc. Is it going to keep getting worse?
Well, it is not with respect to with regard to the violence. It is that we have also limited certain areas because what happens is our requirement was about 5,000 tons a day, and we are managing that. But unfortunately, what happens, everybody wants a full tank, and then they also take big containers and fill it. So there is some kind of mechanism that we wanted to place there, maximum of 10,000 rupees worth of diesel, because until we get this crisis period over. So it's not on basis on the violence, it is not on the basis of anything else. It's just certain controls that we have brought in. Because what happens, when the people get panicked, normally when they have, say, 50 liters, they get 100 liters. And they also bring containers and try to fill it in case if there is a shortage. So that has resulted in fact, that has resulted the longer queues. In fact, thanks to India, we must also thank India that when my finance minister, visited your prime minister, he was gracious enough to sort of help us out and sort of provide.
But these pictures also of refugees from your country now coming to Indian shores, risking the lives of their children. to be able to escape these horrible shortages of essentials, etc. How do you look at that? The fact that it's come to this very desperate situation.
Well, you see, now this is one of the isolated, incidents. I mean, it's not a practice, where the people are fleeing around and fleeing out of the country. I'm sure that this may be one of those cases where in some place where the poverty has gone to some extent where there were no reliefs whatsoever. Having said that, in fact, we have spent billions of rupees for welfare. As you know, we were hit very badly with the COVID as much as the rest of the world. And where the welfare sector, Sri Lanka is a welfare-based country. So we have basically spent about 200-300 billion according to our budgets. That's quite a lot for welfare sector. For maybe one of the reasons, I don't know exactly what the reason for them to sort of be to Tamil Nadu. But this is one of those I suppose, very isolated incident.
Right, but
and of course we will take a serious note on this, and also make sure that we have politicians coming from the north, and we have had a very successful all-party conference today, headed by the president and the government, and with I think except two political opposition parties, the rest of them participated. So
are you satisfied with the help that you're getting from India? I know you're thankful. There's $1 billion of a line of credit to buy food and medicines that India gave the other day, in addition to 500 million US dollars before that. So, would you like India to extend more help?
Honestly, I mean, we look at India as our elder brother, and then we have been having a very cordial relationship with India. And I'm sure India will voluntarily extend some more facilities if the need arises. I'm sure about it because we have had a long years of relationship with India. There have been ups and downs and agreements, disagreements, but nevertheless we have been friends. And then we must thank your Prime Minister who took it our request as an urgent request and made all possible avenues. Not only that, he in fact went out of the way to help us. And I'm sure that if the need arises, India will be there because India, as you know, has to reiterate the fact that they have been helping the region also. So right. I'm sure that in the same spirit, they will look at our needs. Yeah.
Sorry, you're also getting a lot of help from China.
Sorry?
You're also getting a lot of financial help from China.
Well, China has been also a long-standing friend of ours, and then we have had a lot of connection in relation to some of the development that took place in the last 10-15 years. And so we sort of adopt the non-aligned policy, and we try to develop all friendships with all nations around us, particularly the South, and then beyond that as well.
So finally, Minister, how long do you anticipate this crisis to last?
Well, I'm very sure, I'm very convinced that things will settle down within a couple of weeks, if not for 2 months. I think maybe within the next 2 months we should see an increase. I hope everybody will appreciate the fact that our main source of income, foreign income, was through tourism and also from foreign employment and partly tea and government industry. Now, our income was about 20 billion US, which come down by 70%, mainly due to COVID. So we are managing affairs as far as vaccination is concerned. We are very happy and we have done extremely well. Our death rates are coming down, and we are.
But one hopes that you're right that this will resolve sooner rather than later, and in the next couple of weeks. In the next couple of weeks, hopefully, as you said, things will get better. Good luck to you, Mr. Minister.
We are very optimistic about it.
Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Thank you. Good luck.